Here's a little bit of science for you tonight. In 1964, at the University of California in Santa Barbara, a professor by the name of Gazzaniga is studying the mind. And he does this very interesting study that I want to describe to you because it kind of shows you what we're up against with our mind. Vedanta posits that we are not mind because we're the observers of mind, so we are not the mind itself. And that there's really probably no free will for us. I only put the probably in there just to not make any startling statements. But free will is not really a part of it. That they've demonstrated that the mind, that a decision is made in the mind quite a bit before the person is conscious of the decision that has been made. So before you know what decision you want to make, the mind has made a decision. It's very interesting. So here's another little bit of information that kind of adds to this puzzle of mind to help you kind of discern and see that the mind is not as reasonable as it seems to be. So Gazzaniga flashed, had people's minds where the left and right hemispheres had been severed. I guess they were doing some treatments for epilepsy and whatnot way back in the late 50s, middle 60s, I guess. And so this is how they discovered the functions of the right and left-hand sides of the brain. Everybody knows that the left side of the brain operates the right side of the body and vice versa. The right side of the brain exercises the left side of the body. And the left brain is responsible for linear analytical work, and the right side of the brain is spatial relational kind of work. So there's no language in the right side of the brain. Language is sequential linear, so it goes in the left side of the brain. But hunches and feelings of suspicion and whatnot like that come from the right side of the brain. A little bit of background so you understand this little paragraph. Gazzaniga flashed different pictures to the two hemispheres, right? So he put a piece of cardboard on the nose here so that the eyes can't see the same thing, and he shows pictures to the two eyes. So the one that the right eye is going to see is going to be picked up by the left side of the brain, and the image that the left eye sees is picked up on the right side of the brain. All right? So Gazzaniga flashed different pictures to the two hemispheres, and things grew even weirder. On one occasion, he flashed a picture of a chicken claw on the right and a picture of a house and a car covered in snow on the left. The patient was then shown an array of pictures and asked to point to the one that he had seen. The patient's right hand pointed to the picture of the chicken, but the left hand pointed to the picture of the snow shovel, right? Because the hands are being operated by the different sides of the brain, and the two sides of the brain have seen different things, right? Because of the cardboard divider going before. But that's not the interesting part. That part is interesting, but the really interesting part is this. When the patient was asked to explain his two responses, he did not say, "I have no idea why my left hand is pointing to a shovel. It must be something you showed my right brain." Instead, the left hemisphere instantly made up a plausible story. The patient said without hesitation, "Oh, that's easy. The chicken claw goes with the chicken, and you need a shovel to clean out the chicken shed." People will readily fabricate reasons to explain their own behavior, and this is called confabulation. Gazzaniga refers to the language centers on the left side of the brain as the interpreter module, whose job is to give a running commentary on whatever the self is doing, even though the module has no access to real causes or motives for the behavior. The interpreter module is good at making up explanations, but not at knowing that it has done so. So you see this machine of a brain, rather interesting, and the conditions of mind, rather interesting. And we quite often have, in a normal state of what we might call a mild delusion, we believe ourselves to be mind. We believe ourselves to be a body. And that comes purely because we haven't done the internal work of discernment, watching how the mind works, becoming familiar with our internal world. We spend all of our time in this external world, in the world of change and lights and flashes, whereas the internal world, the silent and infinite internal world, we don't pay attention to, the patterns of mind, the way the senses interact with mind, and actually how sensations arising from the moment will trigger memories, which will trigger old behaviors and trigger old stories. And those stories, if not dealt with at that moment, then bring in supporting stories and supporting memories. And we get ourselves into these states of mind that cause us a lot of suffering, cause us a lot of trouble. And so it's very interesting here how the mind comes apart into some nonsensical pieces when we study it, when we go in there and take a closer look, that the Satchit Ananda, that intelligence, that existence, that love, bliss, is external to mind. There's a watcher of the mind that is not the mind.